All right. So is everyone on the same page as me? Because we are going to. We've had like 2 weeks break now, so it will be busy from this week. So are we on the same page? Is everyone on the same page as me? I purposely didn't give any task out just because of the framework, because I think probably we might be facing issues or something. So are we on the same page before I proceed? I'll take the silence to be yes. Okay.
Sorry. When you say, are we on the same page?
Are you on where, as in where I am now? Are we on the same chapter, as in you've done your feature file, you've done all the folders, you are where I am now?
Okay, personally, no, I've just downloaded. I just managed to download the stuff, so I'll probably catch up on that later on today.
Because the issue with this thing is, once you leave it, it will be difficult to catch up because the work will keep piling up, and it's 2 hours lecture that you have to listen to. Then if you are behind, then it has to be 4 hours. It's
I have to do that.
if we leave it too much, it will become real work, real headache to catch up, and we might be struggling. So please, I know we're all busy, but if we can, from today, if we can commit at least 2 hours on this thing every day, because it's an avenue that we know nothing about, right? And we are trying to develop our skills, so we need to dedicate much time to it as possible. So please, if we can all be on the same page, that would be appreciated. All right, hold on. Someone sent a message. Can everyone hear me? Mr. Kenny.
Yes, please.
All right, so I think it's not from me then. You might need to log out and log back in if that is the case. Or probably you didn't select your probably audio from computer, or that thing that always asks before you join the meeting. So Mr. Nuruddin, if you can log out and log back in. Thank you. Alright, have I started the recording? Alright, I'm recording. That's good. Alright, so quick catch up about what we did last week. So last week we started our journey, automation journey, by downloading and installing Visual Studio. And I said, when you get on this page, the first thing you have to do, and you only need to do it once on a project. Not even once on a project. You need to do it once on your Visual Studio, and it's the spec flow. You need to extend your spec flow by going to extension, manage extension, and you search for spec flow. My system. You search for spec flow and you click on download, and it will give you that sign that looks like a clock, meaning that you have to exit Visual Studio before your download actually starts. Then immediately you exit Visual Studio, your download will start. Alright, so that is it. You have to be online, then you go to search and you look for spec flow 2019, the first one, and you download it. So after you exit Visual Studio, if you close this one down and you go to File and Exit, your download will start. Then I told you how you can reopen your project after that if you want to relaunch this project by going to your folder. And I told you to note down the path that your project will be saved in your local drive. So you go down to your local file to reopen your project. So you go to C drive. I don't know where yours will be, but it will be in C drive as well. Users, your own computer name. Mine is grammar. I'll navigate down to source. And all my projects are inside my repo folder. So if I click on repo folder, then you look for your project. In your own case, it will only be one. You click on it, and you open the .sln. That is your project, your solution .sln one. You open it. So that's how you reopen your project, and you land on this page. For you to double check whether your spec flow has been extended, you can go back to your extension, manage extension, then follow the procedure again. Type spec flow, and you should see a green tick in front of the spec flow. So you only do it once on your Visual Studio. But the other ones, after that, we talked about how you need to install your nuggets. We have 6 nuggets that you need to install. By going to the solution level, right click, go to manage nugget packages, and search one by one for those 6 nugget packages. You need to install them as well, because we'll be needing them on the project as well. And make sure you are not under the installed tab. Make sure you are under the browse tab, because you want to browse for it, search for it, and then install it. If you are under the installed one, you can only see, if you search, you can only see the ones that have been downloaded already. But you want to be on the browse tab so that you can search. I think SpecFlow is one of them. You search for it. As you can see, you click on it, go to the right, and you install the 6 nuggets the same way, like that. After you're done, you can close down the nuggets tab here. Then after that, we looked at how we can create our folder structures. We created 4 folder structures, which is features, page objects, step definition, and utilities folder. So we dealt with 2 last week, which is the features and the step definition, because those 2 work hand in hand. Your feature file is where you write your Gherkin scenario. You write your scenario in a BDD format, that is behavioral driven development format, and that simply is using your Gherkin keywords, which is given when then, right? So this is just plain English language, right? And it's plain English because when you're working, you might be working with non-technical people that still have interest to know what you're working on. By reading your feature file, they have the basic understanding of what you are doing, despite the fact that they know nothing about the coding behind it. So the features part is just to write out your scenario, like we call it in the manual on your test case, your step-by-step on how you want to arrive at the destination you are going by using given when then. So this is, as I said, this is just English language. So, but we need more than this English language, right? We need a code behind every English word that we wrote there, behind every English line. Given and navigate to website, we need a code snippet for that, and that will go inside that step definition. Same thing with, and I click on sign up and I enter username. All of them individually, we need a code snippet for them to enable us to write our code later on. And the way we do that is, when you first write, let me write another one. So let's say I say, and I enter my surname, something like that. So when you write it out, it will be purple. It's purple because the step, it's not binding yet, right? That is why it is purple. And for you to make it binding, you need to generate your step definition. And that is why I said, for you to generate it, you have to right click on it. You go to generate step definition, go to generate, and you now go through your folders where your project is stored on your system. I went through that process last week, and after that is done, I make sure that you save it inside the step definition folder on your local drive. Don't save it anywhere else. Don't save it inside the feature. Don't save it inside the page object. Don't save it inside your utilities. Make sure you save it inside your step definition folder, because you want to generate step definition and it should go inside the step definition folder. And that is why after generating the one we did last week, it went straight inside the step definition folder. And if I click on it, everything here is the code snippet for the English that we wrote in our feature file, for the BDD that we wrote in our feature file. Like this is the code snippet for giving a navigate to website. We've not written anything in there yet, but that is where we are going to write it. So this is a code snippet for it. The next one as well, giving a click on sign up button. This is the code snippet behind that English language. So you can see the relationship between your feature file and your step definition file. Feature file is the English version. Step definition is the code version of that English. That was where we stopped last week. Any question before I continue today? Any question? Because we need to understand everything I'm saying so that it doesn't get complicated. So any question regarding that before I move on to today's agenda? Everyone is quiet. Please, no question is. Let me see the question. Let me see the chart. I can't hear you at all. Please let me call. Hold on. Hello, Mr. Nuruddin. Can you hear me now? I'm trying to call you, but you are not picking up. You say you can't hear me at all. Can you hear me now?
Oh, sorry, I can hear you clearly now. Sorry, I think it was my reception here. I can hear you clearly. So I would like to ask a question about the creating folders, please.
All right, go on. Go for it.
Hello?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Hello, I can hear you.
Okay. When we are creating our folders,
yes.
Must it be in line with where you created it? Like we have to create the feature file first, then step definition, or you can write feature file, page object, step definition, or utilities, or must it be in line like this? Or
even if it's not in line, even if you decide to create your utilities folder first, then followed by your page objects, then followed by your step definition, followed by your features, reverse as in reverse order with the way I created my own, it will still be the same format. It will still land the same way because it's arranged them alphabetically. Sorry, I can't say English again. So FPSU. So it's, no matter how you created it, it will still arrange. It will still be like mine anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Okay. So another question I have is, when we are binding our code, like after you created your BDD, so you've forgotten to write a line of BDD format, but by the time you started it, does that mean we have to go to the same procedures, the same way of?
That's a good question. To bind it, you don't have to. Take for instance, I added this line after I've generated the previous one. You can see other ones are better, and I enter my name, something like that. So probably you realized you didn't add this line, right? And you've generated others, Abi, before. You've generated others are binding, but line 12 is not binding because you just realized that you missed that step and you wanted to add it. Yeah, you don't need to go through the previous step. What you can do in this scenario is right-click on it, right? Instead of go to generate step definition, don't use that. Say go to step definition. It will tell you there's no step for it because there's no step, right? You can see no matching step binding found for this step. Do you want to copy the step binding skeleton to the clipboard? Say yes. So you have copied this code to clipboard. Then what you can do is now navigate to your .cs, your step definition registration step.cs. Click on it. Now you need to paste what you have copied to clipboard. When you are pasting, it is important for you to know where the code starts and when the code finishes, right? So like this one now, this is a complete code. The line 18 is the opening braces. For every opening braces, there must be a closing braces. And line 20 is the closing braces for this code. Same thing applies to every one of them. Line 11 for this is the opening braces. And line 14 is the closing braces, right? That is the complete code. So you cannot come and paste your code inside this one. So when you want to paste your code, it doesn't matter where you paste it, but know that when you are pasting it after the closing braces of anyone, of anywhere you want to paste it. So let's say I want to paste it after this highlighted one. I need to come here after the closing braces. I can put my cursor there, then click on enter, then I'll do a Ctrl V, and that is a new snippet I just copied for the username I added. So if I go back to my registration.feature and I click on save, line 12 will be binding.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, why? Hold on. Any other question? Or any other question? No other question. All right, let me remove that. Let me remove that. All right. Cool. All right. So what we want to do, you notice that we haven't touched page objects and we haven't touched utilities. So let's go to our utilities. So inside our utilities is where our driver lives. Our driver on this project will be, we can call it like our errand boy. Whenever we want to send any message, is the driver that we are going to send. Driver, go and open the browser. Driver, go and find the element. Driver, go and do this. Driver, go and do that. But before we can send the driver anywhere we want to send our driver, we need to create a separate class that driver will leave. Like this step definition, that is a class on its own. So see class like a flat that you live in, right? A separate flat. So they all live in separate flats. So now we need to create another class for our driver so that we can store our driver in there. Not only that, our before scenario and after scenario lives inside this class as well. What do I mean by before scenario and after scenario? Our before scenario is what you want the driver to do before your test actually start running. Do you want the driver to maximize the browser when it navigates to that site? Do you want the driver to navigate to the site? When it navigates to that site, do you want the driver to maximize the screen before your test actually start running? And the after scenario, what do you want to do, or what do you want the driver to do for you after your test has finished running? Do you want the driver to close the browser? Do you want the browser to do you want the driver to close the browser, or do you want the driver to exit? So you are in control. But before you can do that, you need to create a flat or a class. I call it flat just so that we can be on the same level. So that you need to create a class so that you can keep that driver in there, so that driver can live in there. And you can call on this project, you can call that driver, you can use that driver in any of the classes. But I'll show you when we get there anyway. But what we want to do now is to create another class for the driver, which is called the hooks. So you right click on your utilities, You go to add new item. You go to spec flow, click on spec flow, and we are going to be using spec flow hooks. So if you click on it, if you come down here, you see it say hooks1.cs. We can change the name if I want to, but for the sake of the training, let me leave it the way it is. And you click on add. And that will create another class inside the utility folder, as you can see, called hooks1.cs. You can see public class hooks1. You can see before scenario that I just explained to you, and the after scenario. Before scenario is what you want the driver to do before your test start running. After scenario is what do you want to do after your test has finished running. All right. So when you get here, sealed means other classes won't be able to have access to this class, but we don't want that. We want it to be visible to other classes so that we can use the driver. Remember, we are only storing the driver in this class, but we are going to be using it in another class. So you remove the sealed, right? And all these ones, you don't need it. They are, when you see anything with double slash, it means that line of code has been commented out. That means even if you run this code, like line 12 will not be run because it's been commented out. Same thing as line 17, they are just for information purpose. It won't be run as well because it's been commented out with a double slash. So if you have anything you want to comment out, any line of code you want to comment out, you can use double slash, and that will turn them to green. And when you run your code, it won't run that line of code. But if you want to comment out from your feature file, you can use double slash. It doesn't work on here. If I want to comment any of these out, then I need to use hashtag. So hashtag will comment out on your feature file, but any other place apart from your feature file, you can use double slash to comment out. All right, so like line 12 now, I don't need it. I can remove it. That is just information for information purpose. So what I want to do now is I want to declare my my driver, and my driver lives in my iWeb driver. So how do I go about doing this? So I need to write something like this: public static iWeb driver. You can see this is IntelliSense, right? IntelliSense helps you when you are writing your code. It will suggest what you're about to write for you, so you can select. I don't need to write the whole thing, so you can select from the option down here. It's called IntelliSense. So iWeb driver, then I need driver, then semicolon at the end of it. Just in case I was expecting this to underline red for me to import it, but it already imported it for me anyway. So just in case, if you are writing yours, right, and after writing your iWeb driver, your iWeb driver is underlined red, right? Let me give an instance so you know what I'm talking about. So let me just add something that is not correct. I want it to underline red. So like that. So after writing your own iWeb driver and it's underlined red, it means it wants you. Remember, we installed nuggets, right? So all those nuggets that we installed, everything we'll be writing now lives inside those nuggets. So sometimes you might need to import those using nuggets. What I mean is, so like this one now, you see this yellow drop down. If you click on the yellow drop down, had it been that line of code I just wrote, that iWeb driver without the E is correct, the first thing that you see here is a using statement. It will be like using iWeb driver. So you select the one with the using. After selecting the one with the using, it will add it to the top of the page here. You can see all this using. That means it will import that using for you. It might be OpenQA Selenium that the iWeb driver lives inside. So it will import that using for you, and it will paste it on top of your page. But because it's not giving me, I just did that for an example, just in case you come across the red underline. Or the other alternative is, if yours is underlined, just look at my own. Look at the using statement that is missing on your own, and you can add it manually there. So you can either add it manually or you can import it, and it will import it for you. So if, let's say, for example, this is missing in yours and it's giving you red, so you can just type it out. You can just type using and just type whatever you want to type, exactly the way you see it on my own. Open queue, blah, 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 blah. Any question? Is it clear to that extent? Any question? Please ask me. All right. So this driver lives inside the iWeb driver. That is why what we did first is to declare it at the top of this page. As I said, we'll be using this driver a lot on the project. But before we can use it anywhere else, we have to store it in this class first. All right, let's move on. So our before scenario now, what do we want our driver to do before our test starts, right? So do you want it to open your Chrome driver? So to do that, you say driver equals new. Remember, when we are installing our nuggets, one of the nuggets we installed a Chrome driver nugget as well. So you can see everything is coming together now. So the nugget that you installed now, it's in use now. We are using that because the Chrome driver we want to call now lives inside that nugget. So we say driver equals new Chrome driver. You can see IntelliSense will give you idea of what you want to write. So I'll select the first one. Equals to new Chrome driver. Your open and close brackets and your semicolon at the end of it. So that's the first thing I want my driver to do for me before my test start running. Declare the Chrome driver first. Number two, I want my driver to maximize the screen, because when it navigates to the website, probably the screen is not maximized, right? And I want to maximize it so that I can see the full screen instead of half screen. So to do that, we need to write the line of code as well for that. So how do we write? that? So we say driver. Remember, I told you our driver is our errand boy. Anything we want to do, it's the driver will be sending. So now we have to send the driver to do that for us. So we say driver dot manage, right? Open and close bracket. Then dot Windows, because it's the Windows I want to maximize. So dot Windows dot, what do you want to do? I want to maximize that window. Dot maximize. Open and close bracket, your semicolon at the end of it. Any question? So that is all that is needed in your before scenario. So it will launch, the driver will launch your Chrome. After launching your Chrome, it will maximize that Chrome so that you can have a full screen when your test is running. And the after scenario is, after running your test, what do you want the driver to do for you? So probably I want the driver to exit that browser, to close that browser down. So I'll say driver dot quit. Stephanie, open and close bracket, then your semicolon. That is all that is needed in your hooks class. So this is a class on its own. So we are storing the driver inside this class. You see the way we'll be using the driver in another class as well. Like the page object I want to do. You see the way I'm going to call, because I store, like, okay, let me use the flat, for example. Right? this is a project, right? And we have all these folders. So all of these folders belong to this project. So let me use a building. You have a building, one roof, right? But under this one roof, you now have 4 different flats or 4 different rooms under the building, right? So Patrick lives in A, Mohammed lives in B, you know, in different people lives in different flats under that same building. So Hook's class lives, that's a flat on its own. But if someone from flat A wants to go and visit someone from flat B, you can't just batch into that person's flat. You need a permission. You need to knock on the door, and you need to be given access to enter that room or to enter that flat before you enter. That's the same thing we want to practice here. We've stored our driver in this class. But this driver that we store in this class, we'll be needing this driver in our page object class, which we've not created yet. So driver will have to knock on the page object class, and the page object class needs to accept that knock so that when you are now inside the page object class, you can use the driver anyhow. Meaning, if Patrick knocks on Charles' door, Charles grants access to Patrick. Now Patrick is inside Charles' apartment. Patrick can go to the fridge and take a drink, can go to the toilet, you know. You can use the house like it belongs to you because you've been given the permission to come in. Alright, when we are there, we'll talk better on that. So what we need to do now is, the only folder left we haven't touched is our page object class. So we need to create the class for that as well. So how do we do that? The same way. You right click on the folder, go to add, go to new item, click on Visual Studio, and we need this class, right? So what's the name of so we can call this registration page. Alright, so I can change the name of the class here. Don't delete the .cs. The .cs has to be always there, please. So I'll say registration page because this is the registration page. Registration page .cs. And as I said, please write your code exactly the same way I'm writing mine. Not that you start with small r, just let it be uniform. You can see when I'm adding 2 words together, I start the first one with the capital R and the second one with the capital P as well. And you click on add. Alright, so this is our page object class. You can see it's empty. Nothing is in there. So what do you need a page object class for? Some companies don't use page objects. They just use the traditional approach whereby there's nothing called page objects. So all their method, everything will be called inside their step definition class. But why is page object needed? What's the reason for page object? Why do we need it? It makes life easier for us in the sense that all our elements, or you can call it locators, and methods are stored in this class. You might not know what I'm talking about now, but very soon now you understand what I'm talking about. So the main purpose of you using the page object class is to store your element and the method for that element. Your element is the locator that your driver will be interacting with when it gets on the web page. For example, you want the driver to click on login button. There must be an element specifically for that login button that the driver will interact with. After identifying that specific element for that login, you come here and store it here. Same thing for that element, we need to create a method for that element. Because in our step definition class, it is the method that we wrote in our page object class that we are going to be calling in our step definition class. Have I lost anyone? I'll come again. But before I come again, let's do all the paparazzi that we need to do on this class before we actually start writing anything. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is, you see this opening and close bracket. Always ensure that these two closing braces, you drag them down. You remember I said for every opening braces there must be a closing braces. You can see we have two opening braces, one number on number 6, the second one on number 8. Those are two opening braces, and for those two opening braces we need two closing braces, which is number 9 and number 10. Cool. So the last two closing braces, you can drag them down. Don't write anything after those two closing braces. Everything we want to write has to be in between the first two opening braces and the last two closing braces. So you can drag this down. Cool. After that, what you need to do is to so click on drop down. Now we need to instantiate our page object by saying something like this: public registration page. Public registration page. Right? Opening and close bracket. And click on enter. You can see it's highlighting red, right? But don't worry about that. So when you click on enter, now you need your shift. You press down your shift and your coily braces. You press it, and that will give you that. Your cursor will be in between them, then you click on enter. You can see the red underline has disappeared. As I said, when you are writing your code, for every opening braces, there must be a closing braces. If not, you'll be getting errors. So whatever I want to write it in between the opening and the closing. That is in between line 11 and line 13. So now, what I said earlier on, our driver lives in a separate class or in a separate flat. But we need that driver in this page object class. Remember, our driver lives inside our hooks class, which you can refer to as the flat. But that driver that we wrote inside this hooks class, we need it inside the registration page because we want to use it inside the registration page. For us to use it, we need to declare that driver inside our registration page class so that we can have full access to that driver. We can be able to use that driver anyhow we want to use it. So what we need to do now is to bring that driver from the hooks class to our registration page class. And how do we do that? So we say driver equals sorry, my explain. So I don't need the first one. So I need the so this is the driver. So driver equals hooks1. Remember, our driver lives inside the hooks class. So we need to bring the whole class inside the page object so that we can be able to use this driver. So we'll say driver equals hooks1 because this is where our driver lives, right? Hooks, this is the hooks I'm bringing now. I'm bringing over to my page object class now. This hooks under the utilities. I'm bringing the whole class now. So driver equals hooks1. I'll now say dot driver. Semicolon. Cool. you can still see the driver is still complaining, despite the fact that I brought the old class in here. But the driver is still complaining. It's complaining in this because if I go to my hooks class, this driver lives inside this iWeb driver. This is the parent for this driver. If the baby doesn't see their parent, they'll start crying now. That's the same thing that is happening in our page object class, because the driver cannot see the parent. And who is the parent? The parent is the iWeb driver. So what do we now do? Right. So if you come down here, put your cursor on the closing braces and click on enter, then we need to bring that iWeb driver inside this page object class by saying iWeb driver semicolon. Case resolved. You can see the driver has stopped crying. Any question before I go on, before it gets more complicated? Any question? Please ask me now. Any question? Please, you can unmute and ask me.
Hello, sir.
Yes, go for it. Yes, boss.
You know, when we declare our driver, our class.
Which of the class?
Like
now we have two classes. We have registration.
Yeah, the registration one.
No, sorry. We have three classes now. We have registration page.cs. That's one class. Registration step.cs. That's two. And our hooks.cs. That's three. So which of the classes are you talking about?
The public registration one. When we instantiate our registration page.
Okay, this class.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Do you have to put semicolon at the end of the open and close brackets on that or not?
No. When you see open and close bracket, then it's expecting something like this to happen after that. Because so, but when you now write your main code, right, and you want to end it, like when we write a sentence, instead of ending, we end it with a full stop. But when you want to end your own code, you end it with semicolon. But when you have your open and close brackets, after that there must be something like this, like opening and close bracket. So, but you don't put semicolon after. It's gonna come down. You can see it's gonna give you error.
Okay. Then another question I have is, you know, when you say public registration page, at what point can we use like protected registration or some other way that they kind of restrict other people to see our code?
You want to restrict your code. That means you want to seal the class. If you seal the class, then see the main reason. One of the main reasons for this approach is object-oriented programming, which you can read about, right? When you are using OOP, object-oriented programming, right? The advantage of that is you might have different classes. You might put your method, different things in different classes. But the main approach behind that is you want to be able to call any of those classes on that project.
To reuse it.
So the classes are just storing it for you.
Okay.
And when you get go on.
So we can't use protected in any of this object-oriented program, right?
Yeah, because you want to reuse your code.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Any other question before I move on? Any other question before it gets complicated? Whatsoever you don't understand, please ask me now. It's better to understand now than to struggle on it later. But I'm trying to go as slow as possible. All right. In the absence of no question, let's continue. So we've brought in our hooks class inside our inside our page object. So now we have full access to this driver. And when you see something like now, you can see it's kind of grayed out, right? It's not really sharp like the driver on 15. It's not really white like that. It's because I have not used it. It's not been used yet. By the time I used it, it will turn to full white. But you see that later on. So now, as I said, in this class, all that is required in this class is to write your elements and your method to store them inside this class. So now we need to begin our code, writing our code now. So the first thing, if you go back to the registration.feature, so I want to navigate to the website. So for line 7, there will not be any element to interact that with because we just want to navigate to the website. So all we need for that one is the method, but we'll come back to that later on. So you can ignore line 7 for now, for the time being. So let's jump to line 8, and I click on sign up button. So now I need to navigate to that website, AngularJS, I believe. All right, so let me go to AngularJS site, AngularJS. All right, so I need to navigate to this site. After navigating to this site, the line of code, the next line of code says, and I click on sign up button. Where is the sign up button? This is the sign up button. So we need to find elements for this sign up button so that when we run our test, the driver can interact with that element that is meant for sign up. How do we get the element for sign up? There are different locators that you can use, right? We can use, it all depends on how the code has been written. We can use Css Selector, we can use expert, we can use name, we can use ID, we can use link text, we can use text to identify our elements. All right, so let's inspect the element for this sign up button. So you right click on the sign up button and you go to inspect. That will bring you this DOM, right? And you can see the highlighted code here. You can see the blue one. If I hover over it, if you check the top of the screen, you can see sign up is highlighted there as well. That means this line of code is for sign up. All right, so let's find the elements we can interact with this sign up. You can write when you are confident enough, you can go on Google and learn how to write your own XPath or how to write your own CSS selector. But the most easiest way to identify the element you want to interact with this line of code is if you right click on the blue highlighted one, and if you go to copy, you can use two things there. You can copy selector, which is your CSS, or you can copy XPath. So let me copy the XPath, right? I click on copied. Then on your machine, do a Control F. Control F. So Control F will open the search button at the bottom of the DOM for you, and do a Control V to paste it what you just copied. As you can see, cool. It's giving us 1 of 1. Always ensure that when you copy your element and you paste it, it's giving you 1 of 1. That means it is only one element on that page that belongs to sign up. So it is unique enough. But I did mean you have like 2 sign up on the same page, then you might have like 1 of 2. When it's 1 of 2, 1 of 3, 1 of 4, you cannot use it because the driver will be confused. It won't know which one to click on this page when it gets on this page. So you have to ensure that it is always 1 of 1. But unfortunately, I cannot use this code I just copied because it starts with HTML. This is an XPath that I just copied. There are two types of XPaths. We have absolute XPath and we have relative XPath. This is an absolute XPath. Absolute XPath start with HTML. They are not reliable. It can work for you today and you run your code tomorrow, it has changed. So it is advised that when you copy a code and it starts with HTML, don't use it. Go and look for something more unique you can use, because this is an absolute XPath. Adibin is relative, probably will start with like hashtag, blah, blah, blah. Then you can use that one. That's relative, that's good. So for this one, I need to write my own code, my own XPath out myself. I've tried to copy it, it doesn't work. Now, let me try to write it out myself. So let me delete all this one. When you delete it, your code might be lost, but don't worry. You see this arrow, click on it, it will highlight blue, then go back to that element you want to interact with, click on it, then it's back. All right. You can see this line of code. You can see it says sign up here, and the sign up is written in black. When you see any text written in black, or any code among the text written in black, it's called a text. So this is a text. Sign up is a text. I can use this sign up to write my own XPath out. Good. And how do I do that? The first line of code that starts this code at all is A, which is anchor, right? A class equals to navlink, blah, 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 blah. So the first line is, the first letter here is A. So how do I write my own code out? This is the way I'll write it down. So if you come to the search button at the search text at the bottom of your screen, so I'll start with double slash, then A, which is the anchor that starts this line of code. I'll say A. Then I'll open a square bracket. Because sign up is a text, I'll say text, open and close bracket, equals, I'll open my hyphen, single hyphen, and I'll write exactly the same way this sign up is written here. I'll write a capital S sign, space, up. I'll close it with the hyphen again, and I'll close it with the square bracket. It's still not, so it's still not highlighting. It's supposed to light up, but it's not lighting up. So let's see why it's not lighting up. Hold on 1 second. So hold on. So open and close equals hyphen. Let me copy. Control copy. Control paste. All right. That doesn't work either. All right. That's not the end of the world. So it's not highlighting it. It's supposed to highlight it. Adibin, that works. Okay. So let's try something else to identify the element. So click on your blue arrow. Go back to that sign up. In this case, now let's try CSS. In this line of code, there's name. Let's say name equals blah, blah, blah. We can use name. Adibin, there's say class equals to blah, blah, blah. We can use it. Okay. I can use another thing. Let me try to write the XPath one more time by using another thing. So let's say, let me write again. So let's say double slash A, open your square bracket. And I want to use this class now to write my own XPath. I'll say at class equals, open your hyphen, navlink, hyphen link. Close your hyphen and close the square bracket. You can see this is giving me 1 of 5. So that means this particular line of code I've written has been used in 5 different places on the same page. But which one out of these 5 is my own? If you click on the up and down arrow, when it's my own, it will highlight it. Okay, so let me click it. So this is 1 of 1. So let me go to 2 of 5. You can see number 2, it's my own. If I go back to number 1, so you can see. So number 1 is sign in. Check the top of the screen. When I go to number 2 now, it will highlight sign up. So let me go to number 2. You can see sign up, and that is mine. That is the one I want. So that means I need to refactor this code further. How do I refactor the code further? So go to the beginning of the code. Open a square, your bracket, and come to the end of the code. You close your bracket, right? Then open another square bracket. Now my own line of code is my own code I want to use is number 2 out of that 5. So I put 2 in there and I'll close that bracket. Now you can see it's giving me 1 of 1. That might be too complicated for you. Let's do the easy way first. Let me teach you the easy way. Let's forget about all this because I know we'll be lost. Alright, let's go back to the code. Let's do the easy one. Click on the blue arrow, go back to your element you want to inspect. Click on it. It will highlight it, right? Right click on it. Let's use this approach for now till we are confident about what we are doing. Go to copy and let's use copy CSS selector and do a Ctrl F and Ctrl V. You can see it's giving you 1 of 1. For now, because we are still taking a baby step, I don't like this, but for now, let's stick with this for now. So this is the element I want to interact with. It's giving me 1 of 1, and this is CSS selector, right? So I need to come back to my Visual Studio, go to your page object. Where's my page object? Now I need to write that element out. How do I write it out? I'll say iWeb element. iWeb element. What is that element I want to interact with? Always use the name of what you are working on. So I want to click on this sign up button, right? So I'll say sign up. I'll write sign up here. So iWeb element. Sorry, you start with small s, sign up. Then your space, your equals to sign, then your greater than sign together like that, then space. So what I'm saying here is iWeb element, right? Go and click on sign up. And it will ask me, how do you expect me to click on this sign up? I'll say by sending your driver. I'll say driver dot, okay, cool, you are sending the driver. What is the driver going to do? Go and find the element, driver dot find element. Cool, open your brackets. How do you want me to find this element? By using CSS selector. That is what we copied just now. So these are all the things you can use. Expert is the one that I said we can't use, that is absolute. The next one we copied just now is the CSS selector. I didn't mean there's ID on the code. We can use ID, we can use name, we can use linked, we can use class name, we can use CSS selector. So by using CSS selector, cool. So what is this CSS selector that you want me to use? Open another square bracket. Inside that square bracket, you just put a double quote in there. And the element that you copied from here, your CSS selector, now you need to paste it inside this double quote. Then you go to the end of the quote, at the end of the code, and put a semicolon. You always end your code with a semicolon. Let me repeat myself again. This is the element. So I said iWeb element, right? Meaning, okay, iWeb element, go and click on sign up. That is why I wrote sign up here, because that's what I want to click on. All right, said cool. I don't mind clicking on it, but how do you want me to click on it? And I said, send the driver to go and click on the element, or to go and find the element. Okay, I'll find the element. After finding the element, what do you want me to do? Okay, by using CSS Selector to click on it. So what is the CSS Selector you want to use to click on that sign up? This is the CSS Selector that you want to use. This is the code that you want to use to click on that sign up. Any question? Okay, before you ask your question, let me do this last bit before you ask your question. So when you've written your element out, for every element you write out, you need to write a method for it. So now you need to come down and say something like public void is your method. When you see public void, that's you want to write a method. So public void, click on sign up button. Open and close bracket. Oh, what have I written here? Click on sign up button. Right? Open and close bracket. And after you open and close bracket, you click on enter. Then your shift and your curly brace. Click on enter. Now I need to call this sign up that I wrote here. I need this sign up. I need to call it down here. I need to bring it down here under the method. So I'll say sign up. So I'll say sign up, the same sign up there. You can select it here. Sign up dot. What do I want to do? I want to click dot click. Open and close bracket, semicolon at the end of it. So this is the element. This is the first part is the one that specifies what element we are going to click on. And the second part is the method that we are going to call later in our step definition. So when you see public void, this is a method. But we are going to use it later in our step definition class. So for every element you write out, you need to write the method for it as well. By bringing whatever you've written in front of your iWeb element, by bringing it down. You can see before I used it, it was kind of, let me comment this one out. You can see when you haven't used iWeb element, it will be grayed out. You can see the sign up is kind of grayed out because I haven't used it. But now that I've used it, if I uncomment this, you can see it's brightened up. So that means you've used it down here. So for every element, you have to write the method for it. Don't forget. So any question now before I move on to the next one?
Hello?
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry. You know, among the methods that we can use to find the elements, as you said, that we have expert and CSS selectors, ID, names,
yeah,
and some other methods.
Yeah.
Which one is the best, and what is the disadvantage of these CSS selectors? As you said, the expert, because HTML can be changed at any time. So what is the disadvantage of these CSS selectors, please?
I won't say there's no disadvantage, just that expert has got to.
Which one is the best? Is it the ID, the names, or the selectors?
Best to use, I would say, if that line of code has got an ID, because for every functionality on the website, they will have a unique ID to them. So if there is an ID in that line of code, had it been, if I open, let me go back here, had it been at somewhere in this yellow bit, they said ID equals to sign up, that would be the best to use, because ID is peculiar. You can't see two IDs, right? You can't have two IDs. So that is unique. If you have ID, then that is good. Expert as well, you can use expert. If you know how to write your own expert out, you can use like the way I wrote mine out, that I had to refactor to make sure that it was first giving me 1 of 5, and now later I had to refactor it to the specific one that is my own. That is reliable as well. But as a starter, it's because this line of code I want to interact with hasn't got an ID, hasn't got a name, hasn't got link text. It's got a text. The sign up is a text, but for one reason or the other, it's not lighting up for me when I wrote it out. So, but if that line of code has got an ID will be the best to use.
Okay. So I want to take you back to where the BDD, please.
Yeah.
You know, after we've written a BDD, say as you commented some line of code out.
Yep.
So can we use the double slash to comment on the BDD as well? Just what can we use?
No, I made mention of this earlier on. The only place you can't use the only place you can't use double slash is your BDD. So to comment any of these steps out, you need to use hashtag.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So for us to flow properly, so you can see the process properly, I want to finish with this line 8, so you can see the process from beginning to the end, because it's the same process we are going to use for the other ones as well. Now, the first process is, okay, we've generated the step definition, that is there, but we haven't used it. The second one is, now we've written the element and the method out for line 8, and I click on sign up. It doesn't stop there. This method that we've written now, we now need to go to the step definition and call this method here. But the same thing applies to step definition, because we want to make every method that we've written in our page object class, every method that lives in the page object class, we want to make it like this. Click on sign up button, that's the method. We want to make this method visible in the step definition class. Remember, it's a different classes, different flats. So we need the permission to do that as well. And what is the permission? We need to do all this paparazzi by bringing a registration page inside the step definition class, so that we'll be able to see all the method that it's inside our page object class. So how do we bring our page object class into our step definition class? So you can put your cursor after the public class registration step and drag this down, because we want to do our paparazzi in this small space here. All right, so the first thing we want to do is we want to instantiate our registration page class by saying registration page with capital R, registration page, this one, with capital R, space, registration page with small r, this one, semicolon at the back. Right? We are not done yet. Now we need to do this. So I need to say public registration steps. Now, you know we are in registration step class, so I'll say public registration steps, open and close brackets, then your enter, then your shift and your curly braces, enter again. Now this registration page with the small one will be the one that will give us access, will be the one that will open the door for us to see every method in our page object class, in our page object class. But before we can do that, we need to bring it down inside this code by saying it's, so at the mention of registration page with a small r, every method in our page object class will be open up to us. But before that, we need to do this. We need to bring it down here. So registration page, what am I doing? registration page, the one with the blue, the one with the blue sign, you can see it's called a blue sign. So say registration page equals new registration page. All I'm saying is your open and close brackets and your semicolon. All I'm saying here is anywhere I type this registration page with small r, let every method in my registration page be opened up to him. That is all I have to do. So that is all. So if I now go to the code snippet for I click on sign up page. So now everything you'll be using will start with this registration page with small r, because when you type this one, it will open up the methods that you've written in your page object class up for you. How do I mean? You see what I mean now? So if I come down here, I want to do this one now. Remember, let me go to the page object class. I've written the element for it. Cool, sorted. After writing that, I came down here, I wrote the method. It is this method I'm particular about now. This is the method. Click on sign up button is the method. And that is the method I want to show. I want it to show in the registration step, because I want to call it from my registration step. So now let me go to registration step and call that method. So all these ones, I don't need it. You can delete them. At the mention of what did I say? Registration page, the one with small r. You can see registration page, because I've declared it up here. I've declared it up here. So I'll say registration page dot. Now you can see the method I'm talking about. Click on sign up. That is the method I need. And it's because I've declared it at the top of the page. That is why I have access to it here. And you click on it. Open and close brackets, then your semicolon at the back. Remember, this click on sign up button is coming from your page object class. That is it there. Click on sign up button. It lives in your page object class, but now you are calling it from your step definition class because you need it there. So you say registration page dot click on sign up button, and that has concluded the process for line 8. That is the process you have to go through. That is the repetition. Same thing we have to go and do for line 9, line 10, line 11, and line 12. So for line 8, we wrote out the element. We come down, we write the method for that element, and we now go to the step definition to call the method written in our page object class. Any question before I go to the next one, which is line 9? Any question? Is it that straightforward? Or am I a good teacher that there's no question, or my explanation is really, really clear that everybody is cool? Any question? My people, don't go silent on me. Talk to me. Any question? No question. Alright, let's try and do the second one then, and go through the same process. Line 8. Line 9. Remember, I've not done line 7, right? I didn't forget about that. I'll come and do that one later. So let's go and do line 9, and I enter username. So the assumption here is our driver will click, so I can close this one. So our driver will click on sign up. Now that our driver has clicked on sign up, we have to enter our username, and we have to enter our email. So for the username, same thing, you have to inspect the element for that box. Right click on it, go to inspect. As you can see, if you hover over it, it's highlighting the username box. So that is the element for it. Okay, let's try and copy. There's no name, there's no ID, so I can't use any of those here. But let's see whether I can copy something reliable. So go to copy. Let me copy expert first and see what gives me. So click on copy expert, click on Ctrl F to open up the search button, the search box, and do a Ctrl V. It's HTML again, I can't use it. Cool. Okay, this time around, let me now write. Let's use something. Let me write it out for you. At least you know what I'm talking about. So right click on it and click on inspect. Alright, I just tried to copy the expert, but it's HTML, it's not reliable, so I don't want to use it. But let me see if I can write out my expert, my own expert, by using placeholder equals username. Let's see what that gives me. Let's try it. So Ctrl F to open. Oh, sorry. Ctrl F to open up the search box. And as you can see, the first what starts this line of code is input. Is input because you want to enter something in this box. You want to enter your name, right? So you want to input something in that box. Right, so I'm going to be using the first, this input to write my elemental. So I'll be using input and I'll be using placeholder equals username to write my expert. So I'll start with /input, open your square bracket. I'll say at placeholder equals your hyphen, the single one, username. Close the hyphen and close the square bracket. That is how you write your expert out. And as you can see, it's giving me 1 of 1. So this is perfect for me to use. So I can copy that, Control copy, and I want to do username. So go back to your page object, because we are doing line 9 now, username. So go to your page object. We need to write the element out for that as well. So I'll say iWeb element. What do you want to do with the iWeb element? You want to interact with username. So I'll say username. Username space equals, then your greater than sign, space. Okay, cool. What do you want me to do? I want you to send driver to go and find the element for this username, right? Cool. How do you want me to go and find this element? By using expert to find it. Your open and close bracket, your double quotes inside that bracket, and you paste that element you copied for that username in there. Then go to the end of the code, put your semicolon at the end of that code. Repetition, same thing. For this element, we need to write the method for that element. So come down here. Say public void enter username, because you want to enter username, right? Enter username, open and close bracket, come to the end of the code, enter, control curly brace, shift curly brace, sorry, then enter. Now you need to bring this username. I tell you, if you understand the process, it will now become repetition. You now need to bring this username down here to use it. So I'll say username dot. Now it is not click, because you are not clicking on anything. You want to input, you want to type in your username. My username is Akin. I want to type Akin inside that box. So we won't be using click for that. instead we'll be using send keys. We want to send keys into that box. Your open and close brackets and double quotes inside that bracket. Now you need to write the keys that you want to send in that box. You need to write the username that you want to send into that box. The username I want to send is, let's say I want to send Akin1234. That is the username I want to send, and semicolon at the end of it. You have completed your task on page object. Now you need to go to your step definition and call this method enter username. Let's go to the step definition. Scroll down to where you have the code snippet for enter username. Delete this one. I said at the mention of registration page, the one with small r, all the methods in your page object will be open up to you. Dot, you can see enter username. This enter username is coming from your page object. Your open and close bracket, your semicolon. That we have concluded line 9 is done. So line 8 and line 9 is done. You can see it's repetition. Any question before I go ahead?
No, sir.
Is it clear to everyone? Please ask me, because it might be different when you are doing it on your own.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah, the enter username that you just used, is it like a standard, or is it like just something you create, you came up with?
Okay, that's a good question. Because, okay, remember, when you say public void, it's a method, right? And after this public void, I need to write something meaningful that will represent the action that I want to perform. That will represent what I'm about to carry on. Remember, I said non-technical people might be looking at your code. That is why we are using something. We are using English. You can see everything I'm writing. It's meaningful. So even if you don't know anything about coding, if you come here and you see click on sign up button, you know that okay, you want to go and click on button somewhere. You want to go and click on sign up button. Same thing here. You have to use something meaningful. It depends on what you are working on, but whatever you are inputting here, it has to be meaningful. It has to correspond to the action you are about to carry out. The action I'm about to carry out is I want to enter username in that box. So I can't say click username or click on username or enter on username. Something. I have to write something meaningful that will relate to what I'm about to do. You can say enter your username. You can, if you want to say that. It is still meaningful, and I can understand that as well. So if you write enter your username, then when you come to your registration step, what you see there is when you are calling that method is enter your username that you see there, and you pick it as well. Have I answered that question?
Yeah. So definitely it's not like a standard, but it's just you put something.
No, it's not a standard, but you need to, when you are writing it, you have to use something meaningful to that correspond to the action you want to perform.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other question? Please ask me questions before.
Hello, boss.
Yes, sir.
So after we find the element, after we've wrote our we've written our methods and our elements, our elements and methods.
Yeah,
so say it has displayed, it has opened the web page, and it opened he entered the password and username and everything.
Yeah.
If you want the web page to remain static, So is there anything you can do on that? Or
To remain static in what way?
I mean to display the image for probably a couple of times before it disappears.
Yeah, you can slow down the WebDriver. You mean when it gets to this page?
Yes.
When it gets to this page, you want it to, before going ahead, to pause a bit, right? To slow down a bit for you to see it. Is that what you're saying? Right?
Yes.
Yeah, you can slow it down. You can use thread to slow it down, but typically in the workplace, they don't really like, if you can do without using sleep, weights. They call it weights. If you can do without using weights, because the effect of that is when you are running your pipeline, right? When you are running your test in your pipeline, like when you are doing your nightly build, right? When you use so much weight, right, on your code, it tends to increase the time that the test will run for. So probably your test suite meant to run for 2 hours, right? But because you've used so many weights in different places, that will increase the time that the test will run for. And that will increase the expenses on the side of the company as well, whether light or whatever. So they want to try. Yeah, but you can make it pause. And we'll be using thread as well. Because sometimes when the running is too fast, the driver can come back with an exception message that I can't interact with the element. Unfortunately, exception error that I can't see the element, because the web, before it can interact, the page already goes to another page, so you can't find the element. So in that sense, you can slow it down so that the driver will have enough time to locate that element, then continue with the action.
Okay. So then again, if you want to find an element, say it's an image, as you said that if you can use the click to click something and send key for the to write something up. But if it's image
is done different. Image is done differently. That is another case on its own.
Oh, okay.
When you are doing image I don't know yet whether I'll be able to cover that during the training, but
or maybe drop down button.
Same thing, yeah. For drop down, you treat drop down the same way, because drop down it's a click, right? You are clicking on it for it to drop down. But it now depends, after dropping down, what you want to select, you might not use click to select it. Click might not work for what you want to choose in that drop down. That you might need to use a select statement. But you are going too advanced now. I'm taking it step by step. I'm taking a baby step that will take us to I'm still going to call about select statement. But the uploading of image, I don't know whether I'll be covering that. But for those probably that will be doing the project, I'm sure part of their project will involve uploading an image. For uploading an image, you have to set up another folder, write the methods in there. Then that's a different case entirely on how to perform that action. But I think I'll touch more on that during the project. But what I'm concentrating on during the training is what you need to know to write a technical test. What you need to know for you to be able to talk through the interview. These are all what I'm going to cover. Yeah. But when it comes to select email, because when they give you a technical test, they won't be telling you to go and upload an image and all that. That you do when you get to work. But what you need to know because that's kind of advanced. So if I introduce that now, many people will not come back to class next week, because that will involve too much code. It's too hard. I don't know. But I don't want to complicate it now. So that's why I'm building it step by step for everyone to be able to understand the basics.
Thank you.
No worries. All right. So we are done with 8 and 9. Okay, let me go and do 7 now. Giving a navigate to website. You know, you want to navigate to website, so there's no element involved. I'm not interacting with any element. I just want to navigate. I want to go to that website. So I only need a method for that. I don't need elements because I'm not clicking, I'm not sending keys, and I'm not uploading anything. So if I go to the page object, so the top bits I don't need for navigation, but I need the method for navigation. So I can come down here and I'll say public void navigate to website. Open and close brackets. Then click on enter. Then your shift and your curly brace, click on enter. So now I'll say driver dot navigate. Cool. Where do you want me to navigate to? I want you to go to URL. .url. Go to URL. Alright. What is the URL you want me to go to? Then this is the URL I want you to go to. So I need to go to the website and copy the URL I wanted to navigate to. So let me go back one bit. So this is where I want it to come to. So control copy that, then paste it inside the double quote. So that's the URL. Cool. So now I have a method for my navigation, and it's going to navigate to this website. So I need to go and call this method from my step definition, navigate to website. So let's go to the step definition, scroll up because the snippet for navigation is up. This is it, right? Cool. Delete this one because you don't need it. At the mention of registration page with the one with small r, all the methods will open up to you. Navigate to website. That is the method I want. Open and close, semicolon. Done. Repetition, right? It's straightforward. So we are done with 7, 8, and 9. Any question before I move on? You need to understand because I'll be given a task to do which will be different from this. That will be another website on entirely that you have to go and create a project from scratch and do. So to create a new project, you know how to do that. You go to File, New Project, and you have to enter the name of your project, then start the journey all over again. Install your nuggets. You don't need to extend SpecFlow again. You install your nuggets. You create your folders, and you start the journey of whatever you want to test. You write the BDD step. You go to your page objects to write your element and your method, and you go to your step definition to call that method. So if there's any question now, please ask me. If not, I'll move on to line 10. For now, let me comment out the assertion. That is a separate ball game entirely. Alright, so enter email. You go back to the code. So sign up. We've entered the username. Now we want to enter email. So you inspect the element for email. Right click inside the box. Go to inspect. If you hover over it, you can see that's the element for the email box. Same thing. If you know what you are doing, I can do something really quick, because the only difference between my last code for the username and this is what I'm talking about now. I can cheat quickly, but if you don't know how to cheat, just go the normal way. What I'm talking about is the code for username. This code I wrote out for username, I can reuse it. I only change one thing there. So I can copy this one, control copy, go to my code. If I do control F, oh sorry, control F, then control V, you can see this is highlighting username, right? Cool. So the only difference between this username and the email is this email. So I only need to change the username inside this code to email, because every other thing is the same. As you can see, it's giving me one on one. If I override, you can see it's highlighting email. So I can cheat quickly by doing that, because both of them has got placeholder equals email, and both of them start with input. That is why I can cheat quickly. So I can copy that element, control copy, go to your page object to write it out. So go to your page object. Now it's email, right? So iWeb element, you want to enter email, space, so you can say email equals space equals, then your greater than sign, where is it again, space driver dot, go and find element. How do you want me to find the element? By using expert dot expert. Cool. What is the expert you want me to use? This is the expert I want you to use. And semicolon at the end of that code. Repetition, right? Same thing. You have to go and create a method for that. So we can come down here. We can come down here and say public void enter email. You can see the syntax I'm using. When I'm writing the element out, I start with small letter, but I mean I'm combining two words. Let's say I want to say email address. I want to put address at the back of this email, then the A will be capital A, but you always start with small small letter. Then if you're adding two words together, then the other one can be capital letter. And you can see when I'm writing my method, I start with capital letter. If I'm joining any word as well, I start with capital letter. So please take note of that and let your coding standard rhymes. So enter, then shift, curly braces, enter. So I need to bring down this email now to perform the send keys. So I'll say email dot, because I want to enter email, so I can't say click, right? I want to say send keys. Open and close bracket, your double quote in there. What is the keys that you want to send? What is the email? I can say demo44 at example.com and your semicolon at the back. So you are done with the element. You've written the element up. You've written the method down. Then you need to go to your step definition and do what? And call this method enter email. So let's go. Scroll down to the snippet for the email, which is this one. Delete the snippet, delete the what did I click on? Alright. So delete this one. At the mention of registration page with a small r, every method in your page object class will open up to you. Dot enter email. Open and close, semicolon. Done. We are done with 7, 8, 9, 10. Remaining 11 and 12. You can see it's repetition. What I'm doing now is repetition. If you can get the flow, every other thing remains repetition. Any question?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
So when we are finding our element, so we can use different methods. Because I can see somehow you use
Different
CSS
methods.
Selector.
No.
I mean,
Oh, you mean different locators?
different locators. Yes, that's one. So,
Yeah. You can use. See, okay. Let me
okay.
go back. Let me go back here. It's not a must for you to use expert though. It's because this site, it's not. It hasn't got varieties for us to use. But if
Okay.
your site has got, if that code has got ID, I can use ID. If that code has got name, I can use name. If that code has got expert, you copy your expert or you write it out yourself. But you can use different things. Let me delete this one now. These are all the options you can use if you have it on the code. So you can use expert, CSS Selector, ID, name, link text. You can use text. So partial link text and all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, boss. So we need to do enter password now. So same thing, I can cheat for enter password because I know that the difference in the code will just be password. So if I scroll down, if you click on the arrow here, it will turn blue. Then you can go to the password that you want to inspect, the box, and click inside it. This is the password. The blue one is the password, right? And the difference, you can see the only difference there too is placeholder equals password. Start with input as well. So I can just change this email in this code to password and it will work. As you can see, one of one. I can copy that, control copy, go to your code, do the iWeb element. This time it's password, right? So iWeb element, password, because that's what I want to do, equals to greater than sign, space, driver, go and find the element. Go and find the element. Cool. How do you want me to find the element? By using expert. Open and close brackets, double quote inside that bracket. What is the expert you want me to use? That is the expert I want you to use inside that double quote. And come to the end, put your semicolon. For every element, write a method for it. Go down and use this password to call the method. So create a method for that. So public void enter password. Open and close brackets, enter, control, curly braces, enter. So password, the element that you wrote up there, dot, you want to enter password, so that is the send keys as well. So dot send keys, open and close bracket. What is the password that you want to enter? I want to password, my password is called password secure. That is my password, and your semicolon at the end. Repetition. You need to go to the step definition and call this method called enter password. Let's do that. So registration step. At the mention of registration page with small r dot enter password. Control. What have I done? We are done with that line of code as well. So line 11 is done. So what next is line 12. When I click on sign up. So we go back to the code. If I scroll down, so this is the one that is left. So I can click on the arrow and click on the sign up. Alright, so the blue one is the line of code for sign up, right? And it's got a text. Let me see whether I can use the text, because I said if you see any text written in black, that's a text. And I can use that to write my expert as well. I can use type to write my expert, but let me try to use text to write the expert and see whether that works. So let me get rid of that. You can click on the arrow and you can click on the arrow and inspect that sign up again for it to come back. Alright. So button, what starts that line of code is button. So I'm going to start after double slash, I'll say button. Open your square bracket, I'll say text. Open and close bracket equals hyphen sign up. Close the hyphen, close the square bracket. As you can see, this works. And it's giving me 1 of 1. So I can use this in my code as an expert. So this is an expert as well. Alright, so go back to your Visual Studio, go to your page object, and let's write the element out for this. So iWeb element, because we have one sign up before, then I need to make this sign up different from this one that is up here. If not, the driver will be confused. So I need to name it slightly different. So I'll say probably I'll use sign up button for this one, sign up button. So it's different from the first sign up, right? Because they are different, they are not the same thing. Alright, so space equals then greater than sign space driver. Go and find element. Cool. How do you want me to find this element? By using my expert that I just wrote. Alright, open and close bracket. What is your expert that you just wrote? Paste it inside the double quote and your semicolon at the back. That is the element. So we need to go and use this element now, sign up button, for our method down. So come down and write a method for it. So public void, click on sign up button. Shift and curly brace, enter. Oh, have I used sign up button? Yeah. Oh, so you can see that's how sensitive it is, because I've used a method called sign up button.
You've used it before.
Yeah, it's not accepting it. That's why it's underlined. Right? So I need to change this one to just sign up, because I've used sign up button before. So click on sign up. So that should do. Alright, cool. So I'll say sign up button, the one I wrote up there, the element, dot, click. Open and close, semicolon at the back. So I need to go to my step definition and call this click on sign up. Step definition. So let me call click on sign up here. At the mention of registration page with the small r, dot click on sign up. Click on sign up, this one. Open and close, semicolon. That is it. That is all done. Let me try and run this code. Hopefully, I'm expecting it to fail because of one element. But let me clean my solution first. I don't want it to register, so I might need to comment out line 12. We've written the code for it, but I don't want it to click on it because I want it to stay on that page here. I don't want it to go to the next page. But it might fail though. But I'll tell you why if it fails. But before I run it, I need to clean my solution. So if you come to the solution level, click on it, right click, click on clean solution. When your cleaning starts, you see it under the output. So clean started. While this is cleaning up, any question? Or have I really bored you today? Have I really bored? Okay, so clean one succeeded. Cool. After cleaning, go back there and build your solution. So right click again, then build solution. Then that will restore all the folders back. And when it starts, you see it under the output as well. So build started. And when you want to run your test, it's still building anyway. You run it, I don't know, you might not have this test explorer the way I have mine on yours. So if you can't find this test explorer, the one on the left hand side of my screen called test explorer, you can go to your test, you click on test, and that is the test explorer there. That is where you run your test from. Alright, so if you click on it, the box will show up.
Please let me finish. I'm coming. Where?
Alright, so for you to run your test, we need to look for this test called valid registration. So you need to expand this folder under the test. So expand it. Expand it.
Thank you, Abby.
Expand it. Expand it. As you can see, registration, valid registration, and that is what I want to run. So right click on it and click on run. That might fail, but let's see what comes up. So that should navigate to the website if we've written everything perfectly. If not, it will throw an exception. Let's wait for it. Oh, what happened? Oh, let me rerun it. I think it didn't. Okay, hold on. Alright, so that is it. It's too fast. Okay, it's too fast so you can't see it. Let me debug it so you can see what it's doing. Let me put a breakpoint here after navigation. So instead of run, I want to debug so that you can see what's happening, because it's too fast. Oh, why is my studio acting up now? Debugging because debugging, it's a bit slow, but just bear with me. Eventually it will go. The run is just too fast, that's why I want you to see it in the debug mode, what is happening. Alright. It's coming up gradually. We are going to get there. Why this one is displaying its any question? Why my system is trying to debug? Alright, so navigation, the before scenario. Alright, so what I just did is I want it to stop after the navigation. I want it to stop before clicking on the sign up button, and that is why it stopped there, right? So it has navigated to the website, maximize the screen, then stop for me to control it manually. So if I want to check the code snippets behind it, I can step into the code, and that will take me through the process. But I don't want to do that. I just want to step over so that you can see that it's clicking on it. So if I step over this code, it will jump to the next one. As you can see, it has clicked on that one and it has come to this page. So the next thing needs to enter username. So if I step over that, as you can see, Akin1234. The next one, I want it to enter password. If I step over, oh, what have I done? Oh, enter email address. Sorry. So it enters the email address. And the last one is enter password. If I step over, it will enter the password too. Oh. My Chrome has disappeared. Yeah, that is it. Okay, let me do something. Let me run it, but this time around, let me slow it down so that you can see what's happening again in a running format. I'll slow it down so that it's really, really slow. So go to step definition. Alright, so here I can put thread.sleep here. So I can say thread.sleep. I want it to sleep for, let's say, 5 seconds. Right? So let me run it again. Run. So we should be able to see it on that page waiting.
It's back. Sam.
So you
Come,
can
high
see
five.
navigation. So it's going to wait a bit on this page for you to see it for 5 seconds. As you can see, it's waiting. You can see, and my test passes. That is the end of today's class. Any question? So what I expect is for you to do, we haven't done the assertion yet. I haven't done the assertion. We'll do that next week, the last one, line 13. So I want you to be up to date with where I am, and I'm going to give a task out either later today or tomorrow to be completed before next class as well, so that you have another scenario to work on which is different from this one. Any question?
Hello, sir. Sorry, how many projects can we create on this Studio, please? On this solution?
You can have as many projects on the same solution as possible at work, but for this exercise, because I want you to do everything from scratch again, because when you are creating a project on the same solution, you are not creating you won't be doing nuggets, all those nuggets again and all that. But I want you to start everything from the scratch again. That's why I said, well, you can create as many projects under the same solution as possible. Well, for our own exercise, I want you to go and create a separate project, a separate project with a separate solution. We're going to.
But we don't need to extend the step flow again, right?
No. You don't need to do spec flow, but you need to do your nuggets, you need to do your folders, and you need to do all the paparazzi inside all of them.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other question? Is it really straightforward? I think it's only one person talking to me since.
Well, it's not straightforward yet. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I expect that, right? But as I said, the more you visit it, the more you pick it up, the more you have a better understanding. You might not understand why I did what I did probably today, but probably when you're doing it yourself, you made a mistake and you realize your mistake. Say, oh, so that is what I have to do. That is how we learn. We learn from our mistake. And before you can make that mistake, you have to commit your time to it. But once you get the process, it all becomes repetitive. It's all about process. When you get that process, every other thing becomes repetitive. Well, you repeat the same step for line 8, line 9, line 10, line 11. So all what we are doing is still basic. We are still going to be building more on that. We are going to be doing data driven and all that. So, but we are starting from the scratch. And please, yeah, God reminds me. Yeah, now that I've covered it, those that wants to work on the project, please, if you can private message me so that I'll know how many people. Then we can start the sprint. We can set up the sprint, start the sprint, and all, so that you have. That means you're going to be busy, have more stuff to work on. But please private message me if you'll be doing that bit for me to know how many people I'm going to set up. Alright, but for the training, is there any question on what we did today? Please, if you are behind, you need to catch up, because if not, it will be piling up. You might not recover till we finish. Because it's not easy to sit down and watch 2 hours video, not to talk about 4-hour video or 6 hours video. And you need to rewatch my video for you to understand what I did. And make your notes. Put things in your notes so that you don't keep going back to first video or second video, because all the points you want to know in the first or second video, you already have it in your notes. All the key things that you think you might go back on that video to go and rewatch. Once you watch it once, just put all the key points on your notes, so that at least as for reference points, so that you don't keep going back to the video, but you still need to rewatch the video to replicate my step and do it on your own machine. And for future projects, you can refer to your note. So what do I need to put in my page object? Okay, is my step, is my element and my method. This is how I write my element. This is how I write my method. Okay, cool. And how do I declare my method? How do I call my method from the step definition? Okay, I need to do this paparazzi at the top first by instantiating my page object in my step definition class. Then I'll be able to call all the methods. You know, all the small things that you need to note down in the journey, in your feature file. What is going in your feature file? What is going in your page object? What is going in your hooks? What is going in your step definition? And that will make everything easy. So any final word from anyone before we say ciao? Final word of encouragement from anyone?
Well, I guess we'll give it a go. I think, to be honest, it seems like magic right now. So,
It's a process. It's not magic. It's all a process.
Yeah, I totally understand. Well, I mean, like you said, it's all about. Yeah, I know I'm a bit behind. Hopefully I'll catch up today. But yes, I think watching this video, maybe second, third time, you should be able to latch on. Oh, eventually we'll get there. That's the key thing.
Yeah.
You just have to keep practicing till
that is it. That is it.
you fully grab the whole thing. But yeah.
Yeah, once you understand the basic, every other thing that we'll be doing will make sense, because this is just I started off as in this is plain, this is basic, the way I started it. Now we'll be building on what we've written now. We'll be building more and more on it, doing it in a different way. But once you understand the basic way of doing it, then you'll be able to implement the other ways we'll be doing it as well later on.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, boss.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Sorry, when you run the test,
yes,
the second line, the test project, how come it's not taking red? It's not taking green like others.
Oh, this one. This one.
Yeah.
This is end unit. This one is because I have this test here, this one, but I'm not using it. If I delete this class, this one will disappear.
Okay.
Yeah, it's because I have this unit test here. That's why you have this on, but I'm not using it. So that's why nothing is happening to those ones. But if I delete it, then you won't see this one at all there. It won't be there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's because when you create the framework, the framework came with unit test, but we are not using unit testing. We are using end unit. So I can as well delete this one, but because I know sometimes SpecFlow or Visual Studio, once you delete one thing there, it might affect other things. That's why I just said, you know what, let me just leave it. It's not affecting me, but that's why you have this one here anyway, because of this unit test.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other thing? So I'll be sending, probably hopefully tomorrow, it might not be today. I'll be sending a task out. Please attempt the task. Please attempt the task. Please attempt the task. It might be challenging, but please attempt it. You might run your test, it might fail. You might be getting errors on your framework, but attempt it. If you don't do all those, if you don't get all that, then you have no story to tell. You have nothing to talk about. So please, anything I send out, please attempt it. And please message me privately if you are doing the project, so that we can set up the first sprint and kick it off. Since I'll cover this bit, then you'll be able to start writing your script as well on the project. So let me know. That is it from me. Thank you everyone for your time. I hope the session has been useful. Not much interactive, but I'll take it like that. Well, thank you. And I'll see you when I see you.
So when will we be getting the recording for this session?
Now.
That's fine. Thank you.
Now. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, boss. Have a good evening, everyone. A good weekend. Happy Easter.
Thank you so much.
All right, so bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you. Yes, bye.